Good evening, everyone. This is Shannon Rutherford, Town Planner. I'm going to start the Town Planning and Zoning Commission with just a roll call of members, and then I will turn it over to our chair. So Patrick Carrier.
Here.
Mike Grabulis.
Here.
Inez St. James.
Here.
Marcy Schwartz.
Here.
Keith Vibert.
Here.
John Vibert.
Here.
Okay, and I am going to note for the record, Barbara Brenneman is absent and Scott Halstead is also absent this evening. We received notification from Scott earlier today. So, and with that, then we are set.
Awesome. Welcome, everyone. It's Inez St. James, the acting commissioner. This is the November 8th, 2021 Town Plan and Zoning Commission meeting. Excuse me. Since we do not have a public hearing today, there's no public notice to be read. So I will not be appointing a secretary. However, in place of the two members that are not here, John and Keith, I would like to appoint you as voting members. Are you okay with that?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. All right, so everyone is voting tonight. The first item that we have is actually is being tabled. It's an application from Mark Marzi, and it's not being presented today. Next time, Shannon? Or
Correct. We
okay.
anticipate it'll be before the commission in December.
Okay, awesome. So we're going to skip right along. All right, the next application is from Unionville Museum. It's a site application for an addition to the rear of the building at 15 School Street.
Excuse me, this is John Vibert.
Yes.
Yes.
I want to recuse myself. I'm a officer on the museum.
Okay. Thank you. Who is presenting from?
We have Jack Kemper is on the phone. Jack, do you want to take the lead with this one, or how do you want to do this?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure. I think Patty might be on here somewhere too. I don't know. I don't see her on here, but
I see Tim.
I see Tim.
yeah.
Okay, let me talk. Tim, are you on for the Unionville?
I am here just as an observer and to answer any questions about the project, but certainly Jack is able to present. I just thought perhaps if you have any questions, I might be able to be helpful.
And absolutely. No, that's fine. I appreciate you calling in. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Jack, we're going to put the ball back in your court then, and then I'm happy to chime in on ADRC, Unionville Historic District things if you would like me to.
I'll just give a brief history for the members that don't know. This project started probably about 1.5 to 2 years ago. Tim would know that better than me. And the idea is to finally get a working bathroom in the Unionville Museum and a small kitchen area so that conceivably, they could, have food or drinks at events there. So we were asked to design an addition. And what we've tried to do is to just make it as seamless as possible. It's behind the building. It's on the south elevation of the building. And if Shannon has the plan up there, it's to the west side of the south elevation of the building, not interfering with the nice chimney or fireplace. And it's designed really to keep as much light going into the building. So if you see in our building section, it's the roof line is in between the upper clear story windows, those cool sort of star-shaped muttons windows, and the half rounds. So it's designed to go right in between those. So those half round windows will still be there, and we place skylights, opposite each window. So the light will still come in there. On the exterior, we've tried to keep the belt line that of stucco that goes under the clear story windows. we've used that as the top of our museum, our addition. But to get a sloped roof, which we really want, we've designed it as parapets on either side. So the only place you'll see the sloped roof is from the south side. And we've tried to extend it a little bit to make it into sort of an overhang and provide some shelter at that cover, sort of mimicking the brackets, the rafter tails that are on the museum with brackets coming out. It's a fairly straightforward thing. We have, I think Shannon can correct me, but I think we've gotten approval from the Unionville Historic District.
Correct. Yes, and ADRC. So this is
yes.
There's that sketch from Friday, and ADRC is in agreement with the latest update.
Yeah, that I don't know. We got the comments late last week from the design review committee. We've responded to them, and evidently they are okay with it. That's correct, Shannon?
Correct.
Good.
So basically the same design, just a slightly different detail on the bracket.
Yeah.
A slightly different pitch on the roof. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yes. The roof went from being shingles to being an EDPM roof. On their recommendation, it's a lower slope. The thought is that this roof is going to be pretty much invisible from eye level. And so we were able to use the lower slope. I ran it by the potential contractors. They're fine with it. And it gave us kind of a stronger beam line and just a stronger detail at that entry and a little more of an overhang. So that's what we did in response for the architectural design, ADRC. I'm on it and I don't know the initials. So I think that's it. They're in a position. We've spent with COVID and delays and Tim and Patty securing the funding for it. I think we're ready to roll. So we just would like to answer any questions that you all have, and hopefully we'll do that. We're proposing, I forgot about the site plan, Shannon is showing that we're proposing a sidewalk to connect this to the front sidewalk. Both entrances, this entrance will be handicapped accessible. It's designed, the bathroom is handicapped accessible. So we're just trying to bring it in line with the modern age.
Okay, thank you very much. Before we turn it over to commissioners for questions, so Shannon, there's nothing else outstanding, right? We can vote on it?
Correct. So what's going to happen is so because it's a historic property and because it's in Unionville center zone, there were other agencies that had to take a look. So with it being a historic property, Unionville Historic District does a COA, Certificate of Appropriateness. They had done one for the expansion back in 2019. As Jack explained, this is when it was originally thought of, and then it's just slightly changed since then. It was discussed with the Historic District last Thursday, and they had no issue that existing Certificate of Appropriateness stands for the expansion. For the sidewalk, that would be considered a new element and will go before them, but that does not have to be done before. So TPZ can rule on the sidewalk portion as a site plan element. Unionville Historic is really looking at it to make sure that it's the elements are going to make sense with what's there, and it should not impact, one should not impact the other. ADRC is an advisory board to TPZ. They were kind enough to look at this and one other item on the agenda this evening via email, offer comments. And as Jack explained, so this is a response to those comments with respect to slope roof, and Jack's team was able to get this turned around quick enough. I got it back to ADRC and no one's had any further comments. So excellent. You're clear to do what you need to with this application.
Thank you.
Yes.
All right. Patrick, let's start with you, please. Do you have any questions for Jack?
No, no questions. Sounds like it was well received.
Mike?
I have no questions. Looks good, and glad you guys could secure the funding for this.
Marcy?
I have no questions, Inez. Thank you.
Thank you. John is not voting on it. And Keith?
I have no questions. Thank you.
Neither do I. I can't wait to see this done. I recently went to the exhibit on luncheonettes, I think. It was pretty cool. I'm glad we have this gem in town. What was presented looks good. So I guess we need a motion in a second.
Oh yeah, Patrick Carrier. I make a motion to approve the site plan application by Unionville Museum for an addition to rear of building at 15 School Street.
Second.
Marcy Schwartz, I second.
Excellent. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? And we have John not voting. All right, the motion carries. Thank you very much. We're looking forward to seeing this.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you on behalf of the Unionville Museum to everyone who supported this project. It's been a wonderful long time coming, and we are so excited to invite you all to come to the to the ribbon cutting.
There you go.
Hope you'll join us. It's going to be a wonderful new spot for us to have wonderful events and share the history. So thank you so much for all your support.
Thank you, Tim. And thank you, Jack. Great.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right. So next two items will be, well, I guess we'll go in order. Presentation by, I think, Con Edison. But the first one is an application for installation of ground-mounted solar array at 10 Mountain Lane.
Yes. And we've got Jim Alaperi on.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Excellent. So yeah, my name is Jim Alaperi from Con Ed Solutions. Here we have a ground-mounted solar array at the Kenyon residence at 10 Mountain Lane. It's 44 modules, 4x11 ground-mounted array. Like I said, the posts are helical piles, so there's no concrete or any sort of footings. I'm sorry, any sort of chemical footings, I should say. They're just driven into the ground, big earth screw, and then the panels themselves are laid on the rail. There's a trench back to the home that I think is about 70 feet, if the plans are correct. And then all of the electrical equipment is located outside, just outside of the basement doors on the outside of the eastern side of the building. We went through the, a zoning, an open forum where it was discussed that we'll be putting planting or 6 arborvitae trees on the eastern border to block some of the visibility in the from the neighboring properties. Not sure if that made it onto those plans yet. That's definitely on the most updated ones. And I believe that is it for this project. Like I said, we have passed the previous zoning variance. So yeah, we're just looking for zoning approval.
Thank you, Jim, for your presentation. All right, commissioners, let's do the questions. Patrick?
Yeah, I mean, my only question was about the arborvitaes, the shielding of this. Can you speak more to that?
Yeah, so there's an existing line. I'm not sure if there's a picture of it in this plan set. There's an existing line of trees. They're either pine or larger arborvitae along the border. So it'll just be continuing that line of trees And like I said, the landscaper estimated, oh, there you go, perfect. The landscaper estimated that it would be about 6 if they were to space them out correctly. Since it is the winter, that might have to wait until the planting season is, correct for doing such work. But that's the idea, is to block the immediate visibility. That portion, I'm not sure if it's from previous clear cutting or the house next door is a new construction or newer construction, so it's pretty open on that end. So to fill that in is not really a problem, and probably worthwhile to create some more separation and some covering.
And then the house on that end, did they weigh in on it? They're okay with it?
Yeah, I believe they actually suggested it. I wasn't at the previous meeting, so I heard through our team. But yes, from what I understood, they were at the previous meeting, and that's what was developed.
If I could just add perhaps a little clarity, it's a condition of approval from the Zoning Board of Appeals application. So they will be obligated to put those in as part of that approval, and town staff won't sign off on a final certificate of approval until those are installed. So, and that's all the Zoning Board of Appeals meetings are public hearings. So there was notification issued, and that the neighboring property owner called in to discuss the matter as part of the Zoning Board of Appeals public hearing. The variance was needed because of the setback from the rear property line. So there's a 20-foot relief to the rear setback as part of that application.
Okay, great. Yeah, thanks for that clarification. No more questions from me.
Thank you, Patrick. Mike?
What is to the north of that? Is that just woods?
Yeah, it's woods, and then there is a neighboring property. I mean, obviously, it is a neighboring property, but there's a home somewhat farther off up the.
Can you do GIS?
Up the hill.
I can do GIS.
Okay.
I mean, it looks like there's a pretty good buffer there anyway, so I was just curious what was there.
Yeah, from the north and the west, there's pretty good amount of from the north especially, there's a good amount of tree covering, bordering, forest, and on the western border there's a thinner forest, but it is there's a lot of coverage there as well.
So which we're
So
talking about this
10.
one. Okay.
10. So it's
The panels will be where?
basically right in this area.
Okay.
You can see to the west, it's pretty barren.
Yeah. And what was the total size on these? On the entire.
On the array?
Yeah.
There you go. 66 feet by 13 feet, 67 by 14.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. No further questions. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Marcy?
I have no additional questions, Inez. Thank you.
Thank you. John?
No questions.
Thank you. And Keith?
No questions. Thank you.
Okay. So I probably have a basic question. So I understand the plantings, right, for separation or screening. What I don't understand is, so these guys will be slanted, right? And then water, whatever, will come off. Wait, can you explain where that's going?
Yeah, currently it would fall just onto the off of the edge. There is spacing in between each panel, so it's not completely pervious substrate. So right now there's not a plan necessarily for a drip edge or anything like that. If necessary, we can do some sort of drip edge situation.
So like, okay, so when water is coming down, like where are leaks going in the road or another property, Shannon, or am I totally missing the point?
No, here, let me. So the panels are gonna be back here.
Yeah.
Right, and it's, they're just, so it's 67 feet long and about 14 feet wide. So the panels at the highest, because they're ground mounted, right?
Yep.
So we're back to ground mounted. And they are slanted, they're 5'11" on the high end. So this is an illustration in the back, and they're 2 foot separation on the low. And they face south, so it's going to drip off, and snow melt and water runoff will drip off basically towards, right? So they're going to be set up in this length longitudinally here from west to east, facing south. So this will drip to the south, just into the existing lawn area. And so it's not really going to change the drainage pattern. What we have done for larger solar arrays, and what Mr. Olamperi is discussing is as a drip edge, they've sometimes put like a stone trench.
Yeah.
So you don't end up with erosion.
Right, that's what I was thinking. Yeah.
But this is small enough that it perhaps isn't necessary, and it's something the owner could implement if they needed to down the road.
Got it. That was my concern. And then where is it going? Like another property? But okay.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's not really going to get anywhere because it's not taking up the whole backyard. When you come back to, let me get the right page open here. This one's upside down now because I had to rotate. So, but this is, and you can see from a length, 67 feet, and the property width is 200 feet. So it's a fraction of the width of the property.
Okay.
Comparatively.
That was my only question regarding runoff and where is this going, collecting. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. I guess, do you have any, excuse me, Jim, do you have anything else you want to add before we vote on this item?
No,
okay.
I don't think so. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I need a motion and a second.
All right, Patrick Carrier, I make the motion to accept the site plan application. I should say, I'm sorry. I make a motion to approve a site plan application by Con Edison for installation of a ground-mounted solar array at 10 Mountain Lane.
And a second, please.
Marcy Schwartz, I second.
Thank you. Any discussion, commissioners? We're good. Straightforward. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Okay, unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jim, you also, are you presenting on the next one also?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
2 for 1 deal.
There you go. Thank you. What else would you be doing today, right? All right. So, okay, thank you very much. So the next application is for installation of a roof-mounted solar on a business building at 345 Holt Highway. Go ahead.
Excellent. Thank you. So, yeah, we're getting the other end of the spectrum with this job. So it's a roof-mounted solar array, both a ballasted flat roof system and a pitched roof system. In total, 115 modules. This is split up because of ownership and production distribution into two systems, we'll say. One is 21 panels, which is going to be a Z-Rex system for the owner of the building. And then there's 94 panels, basically everything to the west. That will go to Unit D, which is currently Rebel Dog Coffee Cafe. The flat roof, so the flat roof portion is, yes, this end. Like I said, they're on ballasted trays, which there's they take off on the bottom. There's a picture on the bottom of what that actually looks like. So on the high end, they're 8 inches off of the roof. And the parapet here, I believe, is 36 inches at the lowest. So from the ground, you really won't see anything over that parapet. The electrical, I should say the inverters for both systems are mounted on the roof in that mock-up to the left there. Again, they're separated electrically for ownership purposes and production purposes. And then there's 2 safety switches and 2 meter sockets located next to the existing meters on that exterior wall. We were going to site them around the corner, but as you may be able to see, there's a gas intake. Yeah, so that's the reason why we couldn't kind of site them on that corner. And then additionally, there's like I said, there's a pitched roof portion to this as well. Yeah, if you move up to the previous page, you can kind of see it in that page. So at the end of the building, there's a shingled pitched portion. We'd be putting 94, or it's not the total 94, but you can see 3 roof mounted arrays, which are attached to the rafters with a rail. It's much, it's a typical residential type system. And that would be interconnecting into the 2 inverters that were previously shown. The roof currently has a snow guard on that eastern side because there's a walkway underneath that. So the panels, the modules are 4 feet off of the gutter line of the roof. So that's typically, we typically use 3 feet with a snow guard. So it's well far away from the snow guard and the gutter line. And then the interconnection comes inside. I think it's the next page. There's a chase on the roof that goes down to the electrical equipment and the main service panels.
Okay, thank you. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, and I'm prepared for any questions that you may have.
Oh, thank you. All right, Patrick, questions?
Yeah, I mean, I think you answered it. It was just the snow guard thing. So you said there's a snow guard there, and then usually you leave 3, but in this case you're leaving 4, so that's a 1 foot additional.
Yes.
So yeah, that was my only concern. So I'm assuming that's all it needs. I know that solar panels they hold the snow for a while, then it all comes down in one shot, and it can be dangerous. But that obviously is going to be taken care of by that snow guard.
Yeah, and I think that snow guard is, it might be the same, company that we typically use for an array mounted snow guard, but it's mounted to the roof, which is actually a little bit better protection.
Okay, yeah, thank you. No more questions.
Thank you, Patrick. Mike?
No questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Marcy?
No, I don't have any questions. Happy they do it.
John?
No questions.
And Keith?
I have no questions. Thank you.
So I have one question. The building is fairly new, as we know, but would this, before you do this installation, 115 panels or whatever you mentioned, will there be a roof inspection to make sure it can hold it? Like, is that part of what you guys do?
Yeah, so we have, we should have submitted, if we didn't submit them, we have full engineering on the roof to show, that it can withstand the additional loads, specifically for the flat roof.
Right, that's what I was thinking about that.
Because
right?
we're adding the block. So if you don't have them, we can certainly send them over. But yes, we've for every flat roof, we do a full engineering to make sure that it can withstand the load of the panels and the load of the ballast.
Excellent. Okay, good. And Shannon, do you need that or?
I believe it's part of the building permit.
Okay.
So it's because that's really more of a building official checking the structural integrity.
Got
Yes,
That would make sense.
but good, but a valid question. Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
That's what I got from your analysis. See? All right, awesome. That was the only question that I have. All right, so commissioners, we need a motion and a second.
Okay, just one last thing, just for
Sure.
clarification. I saw on the agenda review there, so the following questions, they were all answered, right? Shannon, I guess that's a question for you. I see all the answers and the questions and responses.
Correct. So those were questions that I had, and the applicant was able to provide the responses before I had issued the agenda review. So I included everything right there. Those were the things I had thought of as I was going through, and thought they were information that you folks would at least need from an aesthetics and functionality.
Okay. Yeah. So Patrick Carrier, I make a motion to approve the site plan application by Con Edison for installation of a roof-mounted solar array at 345 Colt Highway.
And a second, please.
Marcy Schwartz, I second.
Thank you. Any discussion, commissioners? We're good. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you, Jim.
Excellent. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is an application from 402 Farmington Avenue, LLC for some site plan modifications of prior approvals for lots 40 and 40B1 Farmington Ave, also known as 8231 and 9249 Farmington Avenue. Who do we have presenting?
I believe we have both Kyle Richards and Ben Tripp on the phone. I don't know. Gentlemen,
yep. Can you guys hear me?
We can.
All right. Thank you very much. Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Kyle Richards from the Metro Realty Group. I am joined tonight by Ben Tripp and Jeff Sager. So we'll try and be as brief as possible here, but the topic of tonight's discussion is the approved multifamily community at 402 Farmington Avenue. And as part of that approval, this commission applied 18 conditions, which must be satisfied by us in order for the development to proceed forward. Many of those conditions were discussed and very thoughtful, and make no mistake that we will fully comply with any and all conditions imposed by this commission. However, we'd ask respectfully that you consider modification of the following three. Next slide, please, Shannon. The first condition we'd like to clarify relates to the sidewalk between the development and the Yukon Health Center along Farmington Avenue. This condition for 402 did not specify a required width of sidewalk, only that the sidewalk must be concrete. Next slide, please, Shannon. So shown on your screen is a fully engineered and approved plan from 2018 for the same sidewalk, which is in direct conflict with the 402 Farmington approval, as it calls for a 6-foot wide bituminous walk. Now, that bituminous sidewalk plan was approved by this commission as part of a parking lot expansion that has never been completed at 1 and 3 Farm Glen Boulevard. However, given that a plan exists that was designed and spec'd by an engineer, reviewed by town staff, and approved by this commission, we'd ask that you consider allowing us to adhere to it. We would hazard a guess that the bituminous material was likely selected intentionally due to the tricky install and grade changes in this area that are caused by the presence of rock. We'd also want to note that because we will be working very closely to Farmington Avenue, there's a very limited shoulder there, and we'll be close to the road in our work area, that this sidewalk design will ultimately be under the review and subject to the approval of the Connecticut Department of Transportation. Next slide, please, Shannon. Next, condition 11 states that there will be no access to the rooftop for residents. We all remember the multiple public hearings and hours of presentations on this proposal. And there were many different topics discussed. And perhaps we didn't do a good enough job of describing the roof deck. But we were admittedly very disappointed that it was entirely prohibited. And by it being added as a condition after the public hearing had closed, we weren't really presented with the opportunity to respond or offer any mitigation or changes to potential concerns. Frankly, we went back and reviewed the record and were unclear as to precisely why the access to the roof deck was denied. But with all that, I'd like to spend a few minutes now to explain exactly what this roof deck is, why we think it's very important to the success of this community, and how it'll be operated. Next slide, please, Shannon. So the roof deck is approximately a 2,900 square foot area shown in blue on your screen, located at the southeast corner of the building. So the Farmington Avenue side, 500 plus feet away from any adjacent residence. Next slide, please, Shannon. And per code, 2 staircases and an elevator are required to provide access to the roof deck, as shown in yellow on the plan you're looking at. And from a design standpoint, we've strategically located the roof deck on the Farmington Avenue side, opposite from the residences, to utilize those staircases and elevator shafts as a further barrier. And is differentiated from the central courtyard, which is at ground level and visible from the windows and balconies of the interior apartments. We expect the roof deck to be an outdoor space for residences seeking a more private setting, whether they be, sunbathing or studying, or perhaps they simply just prefer not to be on display. The roof deck will be available to residents and staff only, and will be controlled by a fob system with a time clock to restrict access after 10 p.m. There will be no speaker system installed and no equipment that would generate considerable noise. The rules of the roof deck will be included in every resident's lease, and there will be security cameras to ensure adherence to those rules and ensure enforcement. Lastly, what I'll say is there really is tremendous competition among rental communities more than ever in central Connecticut. And we strive to make 402 Farmington the very top of class, a community that we can all feel very proud of. And I think a member of this commission said it best back in May. It really is in everyone's best interest that this community succeed. And we feel that this more private amenity space is really critical in our ability to have that competitive edge to do so. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Ben Tripp. He's going to describe the final condition, and then we'll pause and see what questions you might have for us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kyle. Can everybody hear me?
Yes, we can.
Thank you. So good evening. I'm Ben Tripp with the Metro Realty Group, and I would like to go over a few items related to the perimeter fence and the limit of clearing here at the 402 Farmington development. So first, with respect to the perimeter fencing that will be installed. So as currently approved, we are required to install 2 fences. One is a 4-foot chain link fence located at the top of the face of rock for safety purposes. It's shown here in red, and this fence was included in the original approved site plan. The other is an 8-foot tall wooden privacy fence that was added as a condition of approval, shown here in blue. So we feel that having 2 fences in such close proximity to each other would be unnecessary. Instead, and if we could go to the next slide, please. So instead, we would propose to use that 8-foot privacy fence to accomplish both the desired screening effect and the necessary safety protection. We would do this by adding 2 chain link returns that would tie the wooden privacy fence back to the face of rock. You can see those returns here in red that would tie the blue 8-foot privacy fence back to the face of rock, thereby serving that safety function. Now, as to the location of this fence, the condition of approval states that the 8-foot privacy fence be installed at the perimeter of the property. So we would specifically request that this dual purpose privacy and safety fence be located at the limit of clearing where the development abuts 42 and 52 Prattling Pond Road, as shown here. So our final request is does not really relate to a condition of approval, but it is a request for a small amount of flexibility as to where that limit of clearing would be located in the context of the landscape buffer that we will be installing. Next slide, please, Shannon. So I will try and walk you through our reasoning for why we are requesting this small amount of flexibility. So after rock removal activities are complete, there will be a vertical rock face that ranges from about 4 feet to about 10 feet in height that will wrap the northern and western edges of the site, as identified here with the red arrows. So between this vertical face of rock and the limit of clearing is where we would install the landscape buffer. So the currently approved limit of clearing, which is represented by that sort of curly line that's pointed to with the green arrows. So the distance between the rock face and the currently approved limit of clearing is sufficient to accommodate the installation of the landscape buffer as approved under normal planting conditions. However, as we reflected further as to the specific conditions of this site, and specifically the possibility that rock will exist at or near the surface in this buffer area, we had some more practical concerns and considerations. Next slide, please, Shannon. So this is just to refresh you. This is a sample section of the landscape buffer that would exist between the rock face and the limit of clearing. So the approved landscape buffer calls for trees that are 12 feet in height at the time of planting. These are large trees with large root balls that need to be completely buried in soil in order to ensure their survival and growth. While we know there is rock at varying depths beneath the surface on this site, we don't know the exact depth to rock in every location where these buffer plantings are being installed. Where there is rock present at or near the surface, the best approach would be to construct a berm in order to fully encapsulate that root ball. The need for flexibility is the fact that in some areas, there may only be 6 inches of overburden before we get to rock, or even less than that, while in other areas, there may be several feet and no berm would be required in order to successfully plant the tree. So next slide, please. So any berms that would be required would need a small amount of additional area in order to grade up to and then down from the peak of that berm where the planting would be installed. In most of the buffer area, the approved limit of clearing is sufficient to add any such berms if needed. However, in the area circled here in green, it does choke down to about 16 feet from the face of rock. And so if we get into this area and encounter that rock exists at or near the surface, it's likely that additional clearing would be required in order to sufficiently berm up so that we could plant successfully. So with all of this in mind, I know it's a little tricky walking through all of that, but what we're asking for is the ability to clear a maximum of up to 30 feet from the rock face, that vertical rock face that I described, and construct berms of up to 5 feet in height at maximum if site conditions dictate that these elements would be needed for the successful installation of the landscape buffer. This 30-foot distance that we're requesting is consistent with the extent of the clearing in many other areas of the site. And if used, any berms would make the buffer plantings even taller at the time of planting, which would improve their function as an effective screen. We obviously feel very strongly that the survival and growth of this buffer is important, and we are only requesting this flexibility in order to ensure a successful install of these plantings. So with that, just to quickly summarize our requests this evening, the first is that the material used for the sidewalk in front of 1 and 3 Farm Glen be bituminous concrete, which is consistent with the previously approved site plan. The second is that the Commission permits the construction and use of a rooftop amenity area. And finally, that the Commission consider our request with respect to the perimeter fence and the limit of clearing as described. So with that, I'd like to open it up to any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ben. So Shannon, looking at your notes, and yes, definitely we need your assistance. So do we vote on each item? Do we decide on each item if it's significant to go to warrant a public hearing? Give us some direction, please.
So this zone, the special innovation zone, when there's a site plan change and you come back for a modification, it comes to staff to determine whether or not it's administrative or it goes right to a public hearing or new business. I felt it was a new business item. It's then for the Commission to either concur that it's fine as new business, or is there a request here that warrants elevating it to a public hearing? That's the Commission's choice. Mm-hmm. And I think if you're going to go that way, a discussion certainly needs to take place. But right now, it's left as a new business item. And then if it's concurred that it's fine as a new business item, then if the Commission has some sufficient information, they can vote on it this evening.
No,
and you can do it individually.
Right.
Might be easier, particularly, and that might kind of work itself out as you folks are discussing this, as to whether or not you need to do separate votes or whether or not it can all be done as one vote. My guess is that might kind of work itself out as you're discussing.
And it's okay to go through the questions and make a motion and a discussion?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, I guess that's what we're going to do. Thank you, Ben and Kyle, for the presentation. So Patrick, you're the first one on the list. Go ahead with all of your questions and then we'll talk about, I guess, each one, Shannon, or all of them? Maybe one at a time right now?
I don't think there's a right or wrong way. Okay. You're just going to kind of jump in, but it might be helpful for the Commission members as you're referencing this, if you can also, I guess, make a general comment as to your thought as to whether or not it's fine here as a new business item, or whether you think it's got any particular element needs to be elevated as part of all of your comments and questions with respect to this, and then it'll make for a more complete discussion.
That makes sense. I like your suggestion, Patrick. You're first, but did you understand what Shannon was just mentioning?
I did.
Okay, all right, go ahead.
Okay, yeah, we'll just start from the first condition. That was a sidewalk. I do remember that being said, that was the concrete part, but can you just walk me through, or maybe we can go back to the slide again? So from what I understood, that was somebody else was going to install that, but now you guys are going to have to install it because they didn't. Is that what I heard?
Right. So as part of a 2018 approval at 1 and 3 Farm Glen Boulevard, the application was for an expansion of their parking field. And as a condition of that approval was the sidewalk, the 6-foot wide bituminous concrete sidewalk shown on the plan. They never constructed the, move forward with the parking lot, and thus never the sidewalk. So it's the same run of sidewalk. It's the 1,200 linear feet of sidewalk that, you know, we discussed at length as that important connection between, you know, the apartment community, 400 Farmington, and the broader UConn Health campus. So it references the exact same sidewalk. It's just that when during our 402 Farmington application, we never went so far as to actually engineer it and bring forward an engineered plan. And we discovered that it had already been done. So our suggestion is that we just simply adhere to this plan that, you know, we've walked it in the field. It seems like it's pretty thoughtful considering the grades and the condition of rock. You can see it kind of meanders thoughtfully. So to the extent the commission's okay with it, it would be our suggestion to adhere to this plan as from 2018 as approved.
And it was approved in 2018.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't see an issue there. The second thing was the rooftop. That was on the other corner, right? So what do you have north? Where was that originally? Is that still the same is that being proposed now still in the same place that it was? I'm just trying to remember that.
Yeah. So when we recall that initially this building wasn't a complete circle, it was 4 stories and it was a horseshoe shaped. So it was generally in the same area. It may have been a little bit farther towards the west side there, but once the building got, and Ben, correct me if I'm wrong, but once the building got brought down to 3 stories and the completion of the donut, if you will, the roof deck dropped out of the plan.
So one change that we did make was in the previous plan where it was more of a U shape. The roof deck was located, if you're looking at the building, would be to the left of the elevator shaft. So we actually flipped it to put it now on the furthest southeast corner that we could. So instead of it being more centrally located, we're now using that elevator shaft to assist in the screening of the roof deck from from the residential neighborhood.
Okay. And did the size change at all, or is that still pretty similar?
It's smaller now. It's probably about, I'd say, a little more than half the size of what it was previously designed at.
Okay. All right. And then the last question would be the buffer zone. Yeah, this is obviously a big one because it was always the neighbors in terms of buffer and sound and all that. Yeah. So the way I understand it, most of it is sufficient. It was only where the green circle was. And that's, you know, you'd have to clear further back to get that 32 feet, which I understand completely. You got to slope up, you know, in case the ball's in dirt and then go back down again. So that's pretty much that. You think that's the only area right now that you see?
Yes. Everywhere else we have adequate space. You know, we're pretty much right up against the property line on the northern side, and we feel comfortable that we'll be able to, between the face of rock and the property line, we'll be able to get the plantings in. We just want to make sure that we can get, I use the up to a maximum of 30 feet from the face of rock as sort of that maximum limit. That is, we feel as long as we can clear up to that point that we'll comfortably be able to install this buffer, given that if there's an area where we're less than 30 feet and we don't need to install the berm because there's sufficient overburden, we're not going to clear any more than we absolutely need to.
Okay, and you guys would be comfortable with supplying a plan like prior to blasting, you know, maybe do a deeper study. I mean, obviously things might come up, but you know, just I guess showing this exact thing, right? So right now it's just the spot in green.
Yeah, the challenge with the exact plan. So just practically how this would work. Prior to blasting, our plan would be to strip the topsoil, which you have to do before you blast anyways. And we would store the material that we thought we would need for the berming up in the area where the berms would exist. Because after you blast, it would become considerably more difficult to get the material that you need up to the top of that rock face. So, and then with the plan is challenging because again, unless you do a test hole for every single tree that you're planting, it's very difficult for us now to give you exact finished grades for each of these planting locations. It would be our sincere preference that after blasting with the material up there, perhaps we take a walk with Shannon and she can observe exactly what we're dealing with up there and make sure that the final planting plan, you know, just makes sense. Because our goal really is to just clear as few trees as possible, plant as few berms or construct as few berms as possible. But the ultimate goal is that we really feel strongly that we need these plants to take.
Right. And Shannon, that's something, that's something that would work. I guess that would be if you can't get.
So what I had suggested is that subsequent to the blasting, so after the blasting, that the specific areas be identified so it can clearly be discussed. So I just, yes, in the agenda review, I had suggested that after blasting. So if this is the area, so it wasn't, or I didn't pick up on that this was the only area of concern with the information that was submitted, that just before we go ahead and do additional clearing. So after blasting, we walk the property and come back in, even if it's as a discussion item with the commission to say, okay, this is what we found. We all agree, and then proceed before those additional trees come down.
Okay, so
and I think that's the additional clearing we're happy to discuss when we need it. The more challenging element is to determine in advance exactly where and how tall each of these berms will need to be.
Yeah, that's fine. I think that's fine after the blasting. I don't want to necessarily commit to everything now until we've done the blasting and we see exactly what we're working with once the blasting's done. That was my thought. But
so it sounds like we're on the same page and that works. Well, that walk would take place.
Yes.
Okay. All right. My last question. In terms of the fence, so the fence, so I saw somewhere it was a 4-footer and then I saw 6-footer. But anyway, the chain link fence portion, that was right on the face. And that was designed to obviously keep people from falling off the face of the rock. So after this thing's planted, obviously there's always the maintenance of if you lose a tree, during the planting cycle or whatever, you have to get back up there and you have to replant one. But is this thing mulched, or how's that finished off?
It would be mulched, and we would have gates in the area of that 6-foot safety fence so that we'd be able to access that area.
Okay, so anybody going up there to remulch is obviously knowing that they're going up there and they're opening that gate and they're going to do whatever it takes not to fall off the thing. That's it. Okay. All right. Yeah. With that, that's all my questions. And I don't think it requires a public hearing. That's my opinion. I know, and as you had asked me to.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. Yep. No, I got it. I took notes. Good questions, Patrick. Thank you. All right, Mr. Mike.
First off, I'm comfortable with all these as a new business. I don't see a need for a public hearing. My questions were answered about the fence. The roof, I didn't really have a problem with originally. But I did see in your notes that you would shut off fob access at 10 p.m. And I think that's helpful to reduce any chance of any parties or anything, any noise that would cause concern to the neighbors. And I'm fine with the sidewalks being changed.
And questions regarding landscaping, or are you okay with what was discussed?
No, I'm comfortable with Patrick's
Thank
questions.
You. Sorry for interrupting. I don't know why I did that. Okay, it's been a long day. Thank you, Mike. Marcy, any questions?
I guess, a few. I'm not really understanding how that fence, and then the two pieces, the pieces that, the two red pieces, and then what's gonna stop what's on the bottom half of that? So there's the blue, and then underneath it, there's sort of this grayed out area, a grayish line. What is that gray line?
So yes, the gray line is just a civil engineer symbol that represents rock. So what that is after the blasting occurs, you're bringing the grade down to create a flat plane where you can build the parking lot and the building. Now, what you're left with is essentially a vertical rock face that then, it varies in height depending on how deep into the rock you need to remove in order to get down to the finished elevation of the development. So that is like a vertical rock face that varies from where Shannon's cursor is now. It's around 3-4 feet, and as you progress around, it slowly gets taller before then it drops back down to a lower height. So initially there was a chain link fence pretty close to the top of that face. It didn't tie back entirely. There's no way to like completely cut off all access, but it was close to that face. It's for code purposes, and it protects against someone who's maybe lost wandering across the property line. It protects them from tumbling over the edge of that vertical rock face. So given that a condition of approval was added to require this 8-foot sort of wooden stockade type fence for privacy purposes, rather than just have two fences maybe within 15 feet of each other, we thought it was just more efficient to use that fence for both purposes. And in order to do that, we just needed to add this small return to tie the edge of the fence back to that rock face so that you couldn't access it without clearly and distinctly going through a gate, knowing that you were in that area.
But if somebody does get in there, they could fall off the rock.
Yes.
Wall. And could somebody climb up that rock wall?
I suppose they. It's usually it's a pretty vertical face, and it goes up to 10 feet. So I don't think that that's really a practical concern of ours, but yeah.
I guess I don't have a picture of that. I don't know if any of the earlier filings had any kind of pictures of what that would look like. I certainly think that having one 8-foot privacy fence is more than adequate, but now I'm getting concerned about the fence, the rock wall that goes straight up. So I didn't expect that to be the answer. And I guess I don't personally have an issue with the roof deck, but I don't feel like that is something we can pass as TPZ without letting neighbors know, because that noise and all of those promises we made, to me, I think this is just one that would have us back in trouble. So that we made a certain commitment, and now this is getting put on the property. And I like where it's placed, and it's certainly a reasonable size. But I guess if we're asking if we need some public hearing on it, in my opinion, that needs some public hearing. And as far as the continuous walks, I'm just fine with that that's just a way for people to get to UConn, that whatever makes the most sense, and redoing that doesn't make any sense to me. So that's.
Thank you, Marcy. Good questions. Thank you. We appreciate your comments. And John, you're next.
Yes, concerning the sidewalk, generally speaking, by going back to the earlier plan, the biggest difference is that it's, instead of concrete, it's bituminous. So it's the material that's the difference. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. We also hadn't engineered a plan yet, but yes, that and the approved plan specifies a 6-foot width.
And the existing plan that was approved is less than 6 feet?
Well, there wasn't an existing plan that was submitted with the 402 application. It was just made as a condition that the sidewalks will be contiguous from the development, thank you, Shannon, to UConn Health, and they will be concrete. There was no engineered plan that was submitted with our 402 application. So as we discovered that this had already been engineered and vetted by staff and a previous commission in 2018, it was our suggestion that we agree that it might be prudent to just adhere to that plan.
And this older plan creates the same walkway that you were anticipating, but it's just made out of different material.
Correct. It makes the complete connection from the entrance to Farm Glen Boulevard all the way down to where the sidewalk terminates. Yeah, there you go, Shannon. Closer towards the UConn Health Center.
Okay.
Yeah, you can see it pretty distinctly there where Shannon's cursor is. It ends very close to where that property line is.
All right. Changing subjects and looking at the changes in the fence. I don't see any reason not to bring those two fences together, make one fence instead of two very close fences. So that's not a problem. And as I understood it, the other changes you were making were where you had the green. Yes, that one. Basically what you're trying to do is to get the ability to make sure that the trees you're putting in place have enough ground to grow in.
Correct.
And in my mind, having trees there to give you some privacy or give the neighbors some privacy is an important thing. So I would be in favor of anything that would help those trees to go. That's all.
Okay, thank you, John. And Keith?
I don't have much to add. On the 3 points, the sidewalk, I thought what they proposed seemed very reasonable, and we'll get us a sidewalk. Everything for the buffer with the fence and the trees, and then questions that were asked by Patrick and everybody else, answered everything I had, and I'm very comfortable with that as well. I actually, so when this first came up, I was comfortable with the rooftop stuff. I think it was actually Commissioner Poxon that had the biggest issue with it, with the noise, with the neighbors. I agree with Marcy. I would be fine with that rooftop area. I think what they're proposing is good. I think moving the area from what it was proposed originally is good as well. I do feel kind of funny about us just allowing it now when it was something that because it's a noise thing and because it's kind of a hot button thing for the neighbors, and the neighbors have been very engaged, so to just sort of do it on our own under new business. If the majority rules, I'm comfortable going with the majority. For me, it feels a little bit weird. But as far as what was presented, everything that was presented to me, I'm comfortable with.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, my comments, let's see. So to me, the sidewalk is really just clarification, and I have no problem with what you are proposing. So thank you. The rooftop deck. So it's not going to be seen by the Prattling Pond neighbors. We have a building that's lower now, and it seems like it's much smaller than what it was planned before. It is a private property, right? We're gonna have there are gonna be limitations of who accesses it. The 10 p.m. Shut off. I think I would be fine with it just being part of new business and voting on it. The fence, I think that the 8-foot fence, it's definitely a better solution compared to the chain link fence. I'm fine with what you have proposed. The landscaping, I definitely, it's all about the buffer and the neighbors. To me, landscaping is definitely a big item. I know you clarified it today, but definitely working with town and after the blasting is done to see what needs to go in, what needs to be removed. It has to be done very carefully with the town staff so that we limit the clearing. So I know you're looking for flexibility on that item, but to me, the fence and the landscaping are two separate items. So how do we separate this, Shannon, now? Like, we've heard from all the commissioners. I know.
Right, I'd suggest that since there seems to be some differential, a little bit. I think we want to be, I think we want to be clear, so I would take each one separately.
Okay.
I think with the clarification that's happened, whether you do a 1A for the fence and a 1B for the landscaping and clearing is fine.
Okay.
And just with each one, confirm whether or not a hearing is needed, and then if not, then you can proceed with a motion.
Okay.
Would be my best recommendation.
Okay. And Cindy, are you keeping track? Am I keeping track? You're keeping track. Okay,
right, we got it.
You're the lady. So Patrick, we're gonna go in the order that's in the agenda review. I'm assuming Patrick is making, Patrick, I'm so sorry.
Patrick, you're being put on the hot seat.
Here we go. All right, so we're gonna break up the motions. We're gonna go in the review, in the order of the agenda review that was prepared by Shannon. So item number 1 is gonna be 1A for the fence, 1B for the landscaping. Then the second item will be the rooftop. Third item will be the sidewalks. And we need to weigh in whether or not we feel that a public hearing is needed. Patrick, no, just kidding. Who would like to make the motion, and then we'll need a second.
Okay, so we need a motion to discuss. Is that what you just said? That we're looking for a motion, right?
So well, I think for the hearing,
just do it as one.
You can say, I make a motion that this remain as new business, right? So if your feeling is that this will remain as new business, and I make a motion to approve as new business, then you can proceed that way. And then really the only one that sounds like we might need a hearing for is the rooftop, and then we'll tackle that as when we get to it.
The rooftop one, okay. So 1A, so the chain link, when I'm looking at the agenda review here, 1A, and then
1B would be the landscaping.
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
So after each one we can vote.
Shannon, can I ask a question? This is Keith.
Yes.
These would all be simple majority votes?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, there's nothing here that requires a 5-6.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yes.
So each motion we make, we're gonna vote after each one. I mean, obviously discussion. Okay.
So there's 3 motions. We'll start with the chain link fence, right? Is that what you said?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. You got it.
So just okay. And then how am I stating the public hearing aspect of it?
So in this case, since you're the one making the motion and you feel that it should stay as new business, and it seemed to be a consensus with this, you can put it together that your motion is that to approve as a new business item, as presented, or however you want to word it, if there's any conditions, but just leave it as a new business item, and that's fine. So you could do it all together as one motion.
Okay, yeah. All right, so, and then I'm gonna do, hang on, let me look at the agenda here. Let me see the limit of clearing. So, and you don't want me to say the number of the condition, I mean, yeah, because it was the condition that was number 13. I don't have to state that. I'm just saying the chain link fence.
Yep.
So,
Correct. So
yeah.
So 402 Farmington Avenue LLC, item 1A, chain link fence, new business or not, and yep, and go ahead.
Okay. So I make the motion to approve item 1A, which pertains to the chain link fence, under new business, the site plan modification by 402 Farmington Avenue LLC. Oh, I butchered that one, I guess, but
we got it.
You're fine.
Yeah, you included everything. Yep.
And to approve, as presented, to approve the modification as presented.
yeah, modification as presented.
Okay, thank you. Who would like to second?
Keith Hibbert, I'll second.
Okay, any discussion before we vote? Or actually, we need to vote first?
No discussion,
discussion, okay.
And then vote.
So based on the questions, it sounded like we were, on this item, it was pretty straightforward. Any discussion, commissioners? Anyone wants to raise anything else?
I mean, I just want to raise one other thing. So to Marcy's point, yeah, it sounded like she was concerned about somebody climbing the face, so the gates are keeping, I just want to clarify this. The two red gates are keeping people out. You got the 8 foot. So there's really no reason for anybody to be up there unless they're deliberately trying. And you really can't do much. I mean, we have bridges in town, and I mean, you can climb those and jump off, so I don't see that being an issue. And I just wanted to state that.
Thank you. Anyone else? We're good. Okay, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor for the fence modification?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstention? All right, so it's unanimous for the fence portion. Thank you. All right, Patrick, next one would be the landscaping.
Okay, so the landscaping part. So you have the fence. Okay, gotcha. So that's 1B.
Yes.
You got it.
All right. I make a motion to approve item 1B, which is the landscaping buffer under new business, for a site plan modification presented by 402 Farmington Ave LLC, as presented.
Keith Hibbert, I'll second.
Thank you. Awesome. Any discussion on this one?
Again, so do we want to add in the walkthrough subsequent to the to the blasting, or is that something that's it's been stated on the record and it holds?
You can certainly add it as a condition, and then Keith, so you can modify to add that as a condition, and Keith can amend his second to have that added in. That's fine.
Okay, so I amend my condition to add, or my motion to add in the condition that after the blasting is completed, there is a walkthrough with town staff just to assess current conditions.
And I will second Keith Hibbert.
Thank you. Shannon, that reads okay for you?
Yeah, that's fine.
That's fine, okay.
Yeah, we got it.
All right, so any other conversation, comments, commissioners? We're good with landscaping? Okay, looks like we captured it all. All right, let's vote on it. All in favor for the landscaping modifications?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Abstention? All right, so unanimous. Thank you. Thank you, Patrick, really, for a nice job. All right. Let's see, the next item is the roof deck.
Yep.
Number 2.
This one I'd suggest that we separate it out. So let's decide, you folks need to decide first whether or not it's going to go to a hearing.
Okay.
Or it's going to remain as a new business item. So you just.
So vote maybe by one. Patrick, do you think it's a new business or public hearing?
Well, I have a question. When that condition was presented, did the applicant never had a chance to actually speak on it? And was it one that kind of crept in there? I know that we had said that if you have any conditions, please put them forward, and there were a ton of them, and we were able to go, put them forward in a timely manner so that we can actually think about them before the meeting. Was that like that, or did it just get stuck in there?
My loose recollection is it came in via email and was distributed prior to the meeting to discuss the motion, so that all commission members had an opportunity to review prior to the meeting to discuss the motion. But at that point, the hearing would have been closed. So while it was shared with the applicant, they did not have a public, other than calling me, there was not really a valid public forum with the commission in order to have that conversation with the commission because the hearing was closed.
Okay. Yeah. All right. And I don't remember, again, it's been a while. I wasn't sure.
I'm getting head nods. Inez and Sandy are agreeing. I said that's my recollection.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And then as far as a public hearing, I mean, I'm torn. We'll have a public hearing almost just to say we did, because what is it going to really change? I mean, I could almost predict, who's going to show up and say exactly, the same things that we've heard. I would be comfortable with not, because I just don't know if it would do anything. Maybe it would just be a PR thing at that point. Okay. And that's it. That's my comment.
Okay. So you're in
I'm not in
because
favor
we need leave it as a new business.
Yeah. Leave it as a new business is my opinion.
Thank you.
Okay.
Mike?
I'm comfortable with it as new business, given the restrictions on it and it doesn't appear that it's going to be a party spot or anything, more of a relaxation as described. So I'm comfortable with it staying in new business.
Thank you. Marcy?
So as I had stated, I do think it's something that neighbors would feel that we pulled the wool out from under them, to use that expression. And therefore, I think it should be public. I don't disagree with having the rooftop. I don't have an issue with the rooftop at all. I don't have an issue with the project. But I just feel like it's one thing that seems a little bit outside of what we should do quietly rather than what should be public. So, but.
Okay, that's fine. That's why we want the opinion. Thank you. That's good. So you're in public hearing.
Yep.
That's fine.
Yep. Thank you. John?
I agree with Marcy. I think that when it was voted on the last time, it was sort of presented to the public as we were not going to allow a rooftop area. And now, sort of without a public hearing, we're looking to add that back in. And so I think a public hearing would be the better way to go.
Okay, thank you. And Keith?
I already said earlier, and I agree with Patrick's sentiment. I believe we know we're going to hear in the public hearing, but I think Marcy was correct when she first brought it up, and I believe this should be a public hearing for the rooftop.
Okay, I guess we're neck. No, we're not neck and neck. Yeah, it's a tough one, right? We all have served on this board while this project was presented, hours and hours of testimony, comments from the neighbors. Yeah, I think public hearing is the way to go on this one too.
Okay, so we've got 4 for public hearing and 2 at new business. So this matter, if Kyle and Ben, if you want to proceed, then it'll have to go to public hearing. So we'll follow up on that. Okay, we still have one more item though. We've got the sidewalk. So number 3.
Yep.
Is the sidewalk.
Patrick, thank you.
Yeah, so that one's pretty clear, right? We,
Yep. Yeah,
so
so
yeah,
that
I
one,
don't,
so
I can
that
see,
one you can go back and do a combined motion like you did for 1A and 1B, right? Because I think there's
Yeah.
pretty much a consensus that it was fine under new business, and it's really a clarification of what, you know, really a clarification for the approval of material and width.
Yep, okay. All right, so I make a motion to approve, I'm sorry, I make a motion to leave, how can I put this, sorry. I make a motion to approve the site plan modification number 3 and leave it as a new business item and approve it as presented.
We're good with this?
You
need motion? You need
no, that's okay. Just confirming
yeah,
that that's okay. I'm going to confirm real quick that approved as presented is a 6 foot by 2 minutes concrete.
Correct. Yeah,
Yep.
like
Okay.
the plan. Yep.
That's fine.
Thank you. So we have a motion, and who wants to second?
Marcy. Oh, good. Marcy.
I jumped in on you, Marcy. Marcy got it.
All right, cool. Thank you. I love it. I love it. All right. So we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? I think we're good with this one, but just in case, we're good. Okay. So all in favor of item number 3?
Aye.
Right.
Right.
Good. And you opposed? I think we heard everyone, right? Okay. So that's unanimous. Yes. Thank you. All right, that was a little painful, but we got through it.
We got it.
Thank you very much.
It was thorough.
It was.
It was thorough.
All right.
All right.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you
for calling in.
Thank you.
All right, the next item is an application from Philip J. Guglielmo. And it's for us to accept an application for special permit for expansion of home in excess of 30% of finished living area at 404 Main Street, R20 zone, and schedule public hearing with recommended hearing date of December 7th, 2021. We need a motion and a second.
Patrick Carrier, I make a motion to accept the application by Philip J. Guglielmo for special permit for expansion of home in excess of 30% of finished living area at 404 Main Street, R20 zone, and schedule a public hearing with a recommended date of December 7th, 2021.
Second.
I get Keith, but I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, opposed? Okay, we're good. So that's on December 7th. And then next item on our new business is an application. Yes? Oh, we're good. Okay. From Robert Schettinger, Jr., ASLA. It's an application for special permit and site plan application for charitable and philanthropic use, partial demolition of a barn and parking dimensions for property located at 119 Copper Mine Road, R40 zone, and schedule public hearing with a recommended hearing date of December 7th, 2021. Motion and a second, please.
Patrick Carrier, I make the motion to accept the application by Robert Schettinger, Jr., ASLA, for special permits and site plan application for charitable and philanthropic use, partial demolition of barn and parking dimensions for property located at 119 Copper Mine Road, R40 zone, and schedule a public hearing date for a public hearing with a recommended date of December 7th, 2021.
Either, but I second.
Ooh, thank you. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, abstentions. I think Marcy did not reply, but that's a yes, right? She said
we lost her.
We have, okay, but we have majority.
Yeah.
Thank you. We're all set. And then the last item before we go on is we need to adopt the 2022 meeting schedule. All right. Did everyone have a chance to review the dates?
There she is.
Yep. Okay.
Come back.
I mean, it looked good to me. I felt like, well, we have some Wednesdays this year too, but we have a few more Wednesdays, right? Three.
We only have two.
Three. 1, 2. Oh, 3.
February and
okay.
October.
It didn't seem like we are heading into like.
I try to work around.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah.
We still have just one meeting in November and December,
Yeah.
no meetings in August.
Right.
To me, look good. Anything we're missing from like a holiday perspective, you guys?
No.
No, okay. All right, so we need a motion and a second to approve the 2022 meeting calendar, please.
Okay, Patrick Carrier, I make a motion to approve the 2022 meeting schedule for Town Planning and Zoning and Aquifer Protection Agency.
Either I second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, I think everyone just voted, so we're good. So thank you for putting it together. And Shannon, you have an item or two?
I have a few, ladies and gentlemen, so we're gonna say, hopefully we can get through this relatively quickly. So these are all, there's now 5. So I had emailed you regarding 4. I've got a 5th special one that came to me around 5 o'clock, around 2-3 o'clock this afternoon. So we'll go through them in order that have been included in the agenda review. So again, with these, my intent is to approve these administratively unless anyone on the commission feels differently and there's a consensus that we need to have a formal site plan application submitted. So the first one up is at the Farmington Senior Center. So here's the police department, here's the senior center, community center building. And there is a church group that is renting a portion of the building on Sundays and is in order to store the materials they need for their services, they would like to put an exterior container bin, storage bin out in the parking area. In this location, in the last parking space, it's really not visible from the street. It's really not visible from the majority of the main parking area as you're coming in for circulation. We checked with highway. It's not going to impede or otherwise adversely impact their snow removal operations for the area. It has been reviewed by the town manager's office, and this has been coordinated through social services and Nancy Parent. The storage container, this is another view showing that it's going to be that last parking space. It looks like a typical storage container. It's not overly attractive, but again, it's not visible except if you're standing back here or in this side parking area. So unless there's any concern, my intent, and it's not going to impact, there's no, obviously doesn't impact the parking utilization for this area either. So if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer them, or if there's any concerns that we need to vet, then let me know.
Is this a long-term thing, or is it?
My understanding is yes, that it's not a church community that necessarily has their own building. There's a lot of the smaller church communities that will do something similar to this and lease a local space. Now, whether or not it's, a 5-year or just a 1 year at a time, that I'm not sure, but yeah, it's more than just a month while they're waiting for something, a reconstruction or something. It's to be used for a longer term.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what else. I don't know what you guys think, but I guess you don't see it,
Yeah, it's in the back, taking one spot right out of the way.
Yeah.
I have no problem with you managing this, Shannon.
Okay. Anyone else? Going once?
Okay.
Going twice? Okay. Okay, next one up is Plaza 2020. And this is probably going to be easier to do a little bit here on an aerial. Most of you were on the commission when this was approved. So these parcels here, 54, 56, 58, this back parcel now is partial conservation easement. There's, if you've been out this way on Route 4, these existing homes have been removed. It's under construction. It's a small shopping plaza that was approved. It's referred to as Plaza 2020. At the time that the owner came through permitting back in
it was before COVID.
Yeah, it was just pre-COVID. It was February 2020 when we approved it originally. He had committed to not having the business open on Sundays. Well, since then, of course, now he has a bagel shop, and the bagel shop wants to be, or a potential bagel shop and other tenants that would like to be open on Sunday and get the typical Sunday crowds for those uses. So at any rate, they would like to have Sunday hours. It would be 7 a.m. The applicant's requesting Sunday hours, 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. on Sundays. It's consistent. The liquor store, just to the west of them, and the gas station to the east are also open on Sundays. So it's not really inconsistent for the neighborhood. It wasn't so much a condition of approval from the commission as it was the applicant had simply offered that he wasn't going to have Sunday hours during his presentation. So that's how it was approved. So he's requesting now to have Sunday hours in order to secure tenant leases.
Any concerns, Commissioner?
No.
Okay, yeah.
I don't see an issue.
I think the building looks amazing. I think it fits so well in that spot. I can't wait for it to open up. I got stuck on the bagel portion, of course. I wish it was closer to Unionville, but that's a separate story. But this one makes sense completely.
I think it was fairly straightforward.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Good. So we'll move on. The next one is 778 Farmington Avenue. So we're gonna pop up to the aerial just real quick so that we're all on the same page. This is the building that is I'm gonna drive right back into town here. This is the building that's right next to the new Chase Bank that's being constructed. So Mr. Udolph owns both 778 and 780 Farmington Avenue. Chase Bank is being constructed right here, right now. With Mr. Udolph's 778 building, there's the front portion of the building, and you can see there's a little bit of a porch overhang here, and then there's a rear portion of this building. And just for frame of reference, it's this western face of this rear portion of the building that he's requesting to put a shed type roof, a little pitch roof over some windows in order to prevent water getting into the building. So that's what we're looking at. This is the west elevation. When you were looking at the aerial, this is the porch roof that I referenced. They refer to it as a shed roof. It's just a little roof that's going to come over and protect rainwater from getting into these windows. And there's a trench, drainage trench here. And of course, with some of the lovely rainstorms we had this summer, it created a little bit of an issue for that bottom tenant space. So that little roof's going to come right in here. Mr. Udolph's in the process of trying to get the building repainted. He might get it done if he does it this week with the weather we're having. And then there had been rhododendrons in here. He's most likely, the mums are sufficing for now. He's looking to perhaps put some perennial plantings in once all the building work is finished.
And it's historic, right?
It is not in the historic district. So it is not in the Farmington Historic District, but it is in Farmington Center, Farmington Village Zone.
Okay.
So it did go to ADRC, and ADRC provided some comments. One of them is to make sure that this shed isn't coming right up to the railing, or the roof shed isn't coming right up to the railing, and it's not. There'll be a 8-inch to a 1-foot gap here, so the two entities and elements aren't touching. And then the other one was to get a detail on the bracket. And this is the type of bracket that's going to be installed on that roof. ADRC comes into play because it is in Farmington Center, Farmington Village Zone. It's really kind of questionable whether it's this element is visible. It's certainly not going to be visible. You're not really seeing it from the street. Chase Bank really is going to block it as you're coming up. There's a little bit of view from the backage road, but it's not really a highly visible element. Nonetheless, we took it to ADRC. They had just minor comments, and that's where we stand with that one. So if there's no concerns, it really isn't a site plan thing. You know, yes, it's an addition to the building, but it's not a site plan thing. So I didn't really think it had to come in under new business, but that's what we've got with that one.
Any concerns with Shannon dealing with this one on her own?
Nope.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Next.
Keep on moving. Next one is
I think Marcy's having issues.
connectivity, and she keeps getting kicked out. Okay.
Yeah, I do. I think it's my internet in my house, and I'm not sure what's
it happens. New Britain Avenue, 1533 has a landscaping business, and is part of this approval, I don't know, I can't remember when, a couple of years ago, I think it was 2-3 years ago now, when that one was approved, sorry, May 2017, they had approval for a fence, and the fence, this is a stockade fence here in this location on the property, and a chain link fence against the southern property line. And because the northern and eastern property lines were heavily wooded, they did not go to the expense to put a fence in that location. Unfortunately, they have had a theft issue this year and would like to now put a chain link fence in on the north and west property line. Bruce Sear has been out to the property just to confirm the fence on this eastern property line is going to be inside the tree line, so it will, no trees will be removed. Actually, it's DEP property. To the east, it's the Shade Swamp Sanctuary. So there's placards there marking where that demarcation is. So the fence line is going to come in and no trees will be removed. So again, it's just 2 stretches of chain link fence, 6 foot in height, I believe. I believe she was requesting 6 foot high fence. Let's see if I got.
And no one is gonna see it, right?
Correct. You're not gonna, okay. Yeah, 6 foot chain link fence, 6 foot chain link fence. So you're gonna see, you're not, I mean, you might, again, as you're traveling up and down New Britain Avenue, you might catch a glimpse of it from the side, but it'll be a small fleeting glimpse. So that's what you're looking at. And it's commercial on all sides.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any concerns, commissioners? No. Have fun, Shannon.
No issues. All right. We're going to keep moving along. The last one just came to me this afternoon.
Okay.
And this has to do with the bottle shop right in Unionville Center. And so this one will also tie to ADRC because it's in Unionville Center. I have not had an opportunity to get this to ADRC yet. So this is kind of a prelim for you folks. And if you think it's got to come in, you can let me know now. Otherwise, I'll keep going in the direction I'm going. Bottle Shop had some work done this summer with their HVAC system, and some of the ground mounted units got moved to Rooftop. And I worked with them to make sure that between the parapet height and the positioning on the building, that it was pushed back from the roof line, right? So as it goes back from the roof line, its visibility from the street diminishes.
Yep.
So those, I think it was 1 or 2 rooftop units went in. And now they're looking to where these units are going to come out, they're looking to put a generator in. And the generator is going to be a 36 kilowatt generator. It's 4 foot tall by 6 foot 6 inches wide. We believe it's going on this location on the building and not over here on the building, but I do have to confirm the location. And I need to confirm the height of the existing plants. I don't think that the plantings are going to completely screen it. Of course, the generators come in standard colors, either a nice light cream color that'll show up, you know, just like we can see this HVAC unit here, you know, but this would be now 2 or 3 times the length, or a nice shiny silver color. Those are our 2 options. So they are prepared to paint it a brown or a darker, like a dark tan color. So that's an option. The other option would be to have like a lattice, like a brown lattice fence around it, understanding obviously airflow needs to be maintained. So that's where that stands. Like I said, it's 4 foot tall by 6.5 feet in length. So it's going to be a little more noticeable, and a brand new structure is going to be nice, shiny. So we're going to get more of the specifics, and then the intent would be to, you know, bounce it off of ADRC, because it will be on the ground, it will be visible from the street, and see if they're satisfied with painting it, or if we have to go to a lattice. But is there anything here that you folks think needs to come before you under new business, or if I can continue in this direction and I can just provide you an update in December then, once I work through things with ADRC?
We're good, right? Yeah.
I'm good. I'm good.
Thank you.
All good.
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. That was the last one. We muscled through them all. I think it took me longer to write them all up than it did to run through them.
Thank you for dealing with it. Did any news on the bridge and removing of the barricades or whatever they're called? Excuse me.
No, the Jersey barriers.
Yes, Jersey barriers. Thank you.
And I apologize if this is the same update I gave 2 weeks ago. I've just had different commissions ask. A bunch of people are asking. So they're working. Obviously, DOT project balls in DOT's court, but we are trying to stay on top of them. Obviously, there's a bunch of people asking. So the intent is the painting of the bridge obviously is getting pushed to next year at this point. And what they're trying to do is there's a wing wall on the abutment that needed to be extended.
Yep.
I believe I saw them a couple of days ago doing some excavation. My guess is to get some additional survey information, because I saw the excavators and I thought, hey, maybe we're
doing something,
implementing something. My guess is since that came to a halt, they were perhaps gathering some additional elevation data, but they're trying to extend the wing wall in order to prevent some repeated erosion issues that were going on. But the problem is there's a water line that runs along that fascia beam. And so as they extend, the water line runs along the fascia beam, but then right after, when you get to the abutment, it comes back in towards Route 177 and runs along the sidewalk.
Yep.
So that water line has to cross, if they extend the wing wall, it has to cross the wing wall. So now they've got to figure out from a constructability how to support the water line, because they've got to excavate around, frame the retaining wall, the wing wall, and then pour it and still maintain the water flow and support it appropriately. So they were working through that. Our best understanding and the last information Russ has received is that the intent is to have that work completed this fall and the Jersey barriers pulled before snowfall. Wow. That's what we've got right now.
Good luck.
But that,
yeah, so thank you, global warming. No, just kidding. We can work on it some more. I mean, obviously it's important. The bridge has to be safe, and the water line, I get it, but the barriers have to be removed before snow.
I understand.
Yeah, it's bad already, and yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think.
Thank you for the update.
Yeah.
So
I know it must be annoying to have to convey that because it's not, it's a lot of information and a lot of people asking and there's nothing we can do about it. But it just, that seems like a tall order, hoping that weather holds out and everything. I agree with Inez, to have those barriers up through winter is going to be.
It's not good. No, maybe a sign. Just kidding.
All right. Yeah. Well, I think if nothing else, they might have to have some barriers on the sidewalk. Because I think they've excavated enough at this point that some barriers are going to be warranted.
Yeah.
But they might have to just pull the rest of them out. I'm not sure. Yeah, if they don't get the work done, I'm not sure what plan B is. But
okay, well,
that's the info we have at the moment. Cool. If there's updates, so
thank you.
Happy to share.
Thank you.
But you're welcome. And that is all I have under plan's report tonight. That was more than enough.
Are we, anyone has, sorry, since we have one more meeting, I know we got to approve the minutes. Any questions for Shannon? Anything else?
Shannon, it's Mike. Just a quick question. I saw the Hartford Business Journal article about the Marriott. Do you have any further information on that?
I did not see the article, but they did reach out to me. So my guess is they've simply indicated that the property has changed hands, which it has. And the new property owners have met with the building official. They have not met with me. They did meet with Catherine and Rose prior to Catherine's departure. And it was also prior to them owning the property. They were doing due diligence inquiry of such. So no, we don't. We've been incredibly clear with them that they will build what was approved, or they are welcome to come back and chat with you. So I don't think they necessarily truly understand how truly I am going to hold them to every detail, or they can come back and talk to you. This is a special innovation zone.
Yeah.
We all worked incredibly hard to make sure that this was going to look and be constructed in a particular fashion. And
it's still a wonderful opportunity.
It absolutely is.
You know,
it absolutely is. And all I can say is I will assure you it will not be shortchanged. So it'll be back before you if it's not exactly what you folks had agreed to.
I think what's interesting is that what the article said is that they paid twice as much as the original purchase. Did you read that, Mike?
I did.
Yeah.
The price was significantly more.
Yeah,
that's my understanding as well. It's on the land record. I mean, you can go to our assessor. It's on the land records.
No, just a FYI. It's not outside. Huh?
Yeah.
What a deal for someone.
Yeah, we made some money.
Yeah. Wow. I don't deal with commercial real estate, but you know, residential is properties that would sell it for $250 last year are selling for $325 this year, you know, in 1 year. It's amazing, but wow, good for someone, huh? Negotiating that deal. Wow.
For someone.
We need more housing though. I hope they do the right thing. Okay, so biting my tongue.
So we do know at this point they don't intend. It doesn't seem that they intend to keep the same design team. So at this particular point in time, they are procuring their own design team. So there'll be some time delay with that. What we find is those that come in and buy and then keep the same design team on, obviously that's a more seamless transition. So they appear to be going with a different design team, folks that they normally work with, but have not necessarily been involved with this project. So there's going to be a little bit of a lag, I think, before that, but feel free to ask for updates along the way if I don't think to share something, or if you hear something, I'm happy to answer.
Good. Thank you. Anything else? We're good. How about a motion and a second for meeting minutes? And then we'll
I make a motion to approve the minutes of the October 25th, 2021 Town Planning and Zoning Commission meeting.
I will second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
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 All right. Thank you everyone for your participation. Great questions. We are adjourning at 8:55 and we have one more meeting this year, December 7th.
December 7th.
So see you after Turkey Day.
Have a nice Thanksgiving,
Thank you.
everyone.
See ya.
All right, bye-bye. Thank you.